We usually refer to it as Colossus SFS, or Static Fire System. It was originally a project commissioned by NASA for collegiate teams. If they want to test their rocket engine, they either have to work with some industry source, which is extremely expensive, or they have to spend many months working to develop a test stand that is usually just specific for just a specific engine. Time consuming, really costly, so NASA basically came up with this initiative to basically ask SEDS UCSD to build Colossus, a system that could be mobile and transported to the Mojave, provide a cheap and easy solution that was also run by collegiate students that, understand what these student rocketry teams are going through and basically provide an easy solution for them to test their rockets. So Colossus is a system that is designed to test rockets and gather a plethora of data, temperature, pressure, thrust, basically everything that you could use to get like a full analysis of your engine.
Full actuations confirmed.
Yesterday we had 200.
Yeah, let's see. Today.
A few years ago, SEDS was testing with USC LPL, the Liquid Propulsion Lab at USC, their Balerion engine, and basically it had an RUD, it's a rapid unscheduled disassembly. But basically Colossus caught on fire and a lot of it burned down and a lot of it was lost, and because of that, we had to rebuild Colossus, more or less starting from nothing, because the only things that remained were the tanks and more or less the physical, steel structure, and everything else had to be redone. It was like daunting, but also pretty exciting. But we basically had to, you're starting Colossus all over again.
Come on, tell us where we are.
We're at FAR.
What is that?
It's Friends of Amateur Rocketry. It's a testing site for all kinds of rockets, but in our case, it's for Colossus.
The setup process for a hot fire usually takes place over at least 2 days. When you have an oxygen-rated system, oxygen can basically set everything on fire, especially under 100% oxygen conditions, which is essentially what our system is under, or at least part of it. To basically combat this, you have to clean your system for oxygen compatibility.
This is a liquid oxygen dewar. The dewar keeps it cold and it auto vents. The liquid port, and then we have a vent hole, so it automatically will vent the pressure as it builds up when it heats up.
The way we do this is we call it flow cleaning. We run basically a series of mixtures through the tanks. We start with DI water and simple green. We do water and then 99% IPA.
It wants to go now? Or can we just flow?
We can stick around for 5 minutes,
bunker.
but all 3 of those launches require us to be in the bunker.
Yeah, we can vote.
Can we?
Clean is
Are they letting
we're
us?
ready now. We can click the button right now.
Okay, then yeah, why not?
Okay. What are we doing?
So they're gonna push all of the IPO through, and it's gonna come out this side.
Yeah, so basically right now we're jacking up Colossus. That's to prevent it from rolling away. It's to prevent major vibrations. It's on wheels. Once we jack it up, it won't be on wheels. Force will be distributed better. Everything kind of gets safer when you jack it up.
We have to do leak checking with plumbing wise. Basically, we pressurize the system, take some soapy bubbles, spray it all over the plumbing, look for any sort of leaks. So before we actually throw high pressure gas or cryogens into the system, we want to know that they're going to stay there. And then we have the electronics bring up. That's basically, okay, turning system on, making sure that we got a signal, making sure the LabVIEW software is working properly. We actuate every single valve just to make sure everything's working. And then from there, we're basically ready to start the main procedures for the tests. What we do first is we're gonna fill the system. It can take anywhere from 40 minutes to maybe an hour and a half. It just depends, especially if you do dual cryo, you never know. All the propellant and the oxygen is gonna be there, so we're ready to pressurize the system, and then everybody returns to the bunker. We have an automated system that basically takes care of everything else. So the whole actual firing is all automated, and then we have an e-stop if we needed to. And then it's pretty much done. Locksville is complete. All right, start auto sequence.
Do I just grab these?
Just go.
Commencing auto sequence.
Ignis 2 is just a finicky engine. SEDS has had a history of it working some days and not working the other days.
SEDS historically, especially with Ignis, has had a terrible time igniting it. It's one of the reasons Vulcan 2 failed. Kerosene just started dumping all over the floor and setting on fire from the solid motor.
You know, we hadn't had a test event in a long time. You know, we're trying to get the timing of Colossus's main valves. You know, we had this thing called the Spider. And basically, it clipped on to Ignis 2 because we had to use a solid rocket motor for an igniter.
We didn't have a lot of documentation on what solid motors to use, any modifications to the motors that you should do, or any way you should set it up such that it can stay in the engine while the propellants enter the chamber and actually ignite them. Prop team went into that with absolutely zero clue what to do. I stayed up a couple days before. It was also midterms. It was a terrible time, but I got out a couple different designs and I was ready to test them at FAR. I remember the day of the hot fire, I was very, very anxious. I was walking around. I was like, if this thing doesn't go off, it's my fault. And everybody was like, chill, like, no, it's fine.
All right, I'm gonna leave this here with you guys. I'm gonna go prep some more just in case. What we're planning on is we'll shove the long E-match in, your guys's, and then we'll just shove this one in and then coil it around it. I don't care if it falls out.
So my first attempt, we showed it to the FAR officials and he was like, yeah, it looks like it'll work.
Yeah. Okay, we're going at 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition. Oh, no, you didn't light, you got it.
East up.
Oh shit.
Didn't light. Okay, that's the purge. So then, do we want to change the timing? Okay.
Did the igniter ever go off?
No,
Okay.
the SRV
Vents
didn't
are
go.
open, closed vents.
Okay, let's make it safe.
What happened on the first event? I'd say the E-match timing was pretty close. It just ever so barely the timing got messed up that although the solid rocket motor went off, it had just barely just flown away because the fuel and the oxygen was just like, it was already going. It was just flowing and it just knocked the igniter away just barely before we could have ignition. Most of the fuel just kind of, you know, dumped out there. You know, you can walk out there, you can smell it. It just smells like gasoline. Real not fun, but yeah, I mean, everything dumps out and basically just have to start the whole procedures over again. I think we brought like 2 or 3 of these 5-gallon jugs of kerosene, but you know, just because we dumped a lot of it during the first event, you know, we practically lost a lot of it. You know, can we even do another test if we found fuel? Luckily, the FAR members there, one of them, he had some sort of kerosene storage and he was like, I'll just pump some out for you.
I have a lot, I won't guarantee you the quality.
I don't know that we have a strainer.
It might be in the pump.
Kerosene, you have to still be careful because you want it to be like pure enough or clean, you know, enough. In rocket engines, like these things matter a lot, especially when it's atomized. We have fuel, okay, we'll start everything over again. Yeah, by the time that we had made our first attempt, you know, it was already practically sundown at that point. Everybody was rushing out there with, you know, random headlamps, you know, their phone, flashlight, you know, whatever, doing the system. So, you know, now it's dark, like pitch black out there. It's just like Colossus is the only thing out there in the desert. We can barely see things from the bunker, you know, pad techs, you know, working to do what they can, you know, for this second hot fire. We, you know, fill the system again. We modified the E-match timing a little bit and just, you know, see how it goes.
I asked one of the pyro ops at FAR about using additional igniters for the solid motor. I added a couple in. We tested out some of the solid propellant on the side to make sure that our timing was correct so that we could set it for the Colossus auto sequence. So the propellant would go off at the right time, so we're not just absolutely burning the faceplate. If I didn't bring skewers for hot dogs or marshmallows, I wouldn't have anything to mount it with, so thank God. But yeah, the final design was like a mix of like what I 3D printed, Gorilla Tape, and some bamboo skewers with some solid propellant.
Okay, locked fill complete. Verify E-match.
E-match in engine and E-match plugged in.
Okay, evacuate all personnel. Come back to the bunker. Hey guys, we're gonna start the auto sequence code soon.
Okay, people either need to leave or go to bunker.
Should we do from 5 or 10?
5.
Okay, good. 5, 4,
3, 2, 1.
I don't see smoke.
Oh my god.
I remember the day of the hot fire. I was very, very anxious. I was walking around. I was like, if this thing doesn't go off, it's my fault. And then it just kind of worked. The second I saw Ignis ignite, I was like, this isn't real. This is a figment of my imagination. It didn't actually turn on. I'm just seeing something so that I can feel better and go to sleep peacefully tonight. And then once everybody's face lit up, I realized how real it was. Because we all care a lot about our projects, but once you actually see something through, I think that's one of the best feelings that keeps people going.
Because Colossus did work everything as intended. It's a big moment for us. Think about it. It's like, this is like over 3 years ago, maybe almost 4-ish now. That was the last time that Colossus ever was fired. And it didn't work, so. I don't know. You should all be very proud of yourselves for all the hard work you put in. In terms of all the things we've been working towards for, my whole time in SEDS, multiple members, it's been more than, I believe, like 4 years at that point since, SEDS has actually, had a hot fire. It was just like a big turning point in the club. Now that we finally got Colossus working, it's like the first step, doing all these other things like down in the line,